Now we're south of Phoenix, Arizona, about 2 or 3 miles from the city. And we're at the foothills of the South Mountains. There's some strange formations around here that we're going to be showing you. But I'm here with my new friend, Jeff Woolwine, who's been living here for most of his life and has been recording many of the things that we'll be seeing rock carvings of. Jeff, you've brought us to the foot of the South Mountains here, and there's some strange pyramid-like formations. I'm wondering what your take is on these pyramid shapes.
Well, as we go through the tour today, we will be seeing a lot of pyramid hill formations here. And when we study the pyramids, not only do we find pyramids around the world, whether they're man-made or whether they're natural-made, it seems like these pyramids are reference points to energy spots that actually attract these UFOs.
Now you see these UFOs. I like your take on how you explain UFOs. You see them as not extraterrestrial, but actually interdimensional.
That's right, that's right. Going into this, studying this phenomenon, I was having an open mind. I was thinking spaceships, technology, other planets that they come from. But as I started watching these things over the years and studying them and actually seeing them, I'm more inclined to believe that they actually reside here. It's more interdimensional. They're, instead of extraterrestrial, it's interterrestrial, if you will.
Okay.
And the Native Americans explain that these hills, these mountains, are sacred because their spirits reside.
So you're going to take us on a tour where we're going to see some of the wall paintings and rock paintings that have been left by Indians that have had experiences with some of these things that have been here for a long time.
That's right. We'll be overlooking some petroglyphs that has been carved anywhere from 900 years old to possibly close to 1,000 years old, and it depicts what they were seeing in the sky. They didn't have video cameras back then. They had stone boulders to record.
They recorded their sightings on stone.
That's
okay,
right.
Fantastic. What we are about to see is a great volume of dynamited rock. Jeff believes that it was the CCC under FDR that was trying to cover up a great mystery.
The CCC was established during the 1930s, during Franklin Roosevelt. They decided to boost the economy and to clean up the park. They did a lot of gold mining. Matter of fact, they pulled at least $60,000 worth of gold off this mountain, along with copper and some crystals and stuff. And they also did some devastation to some of the rock art here. And I believe that, as you can tell all this blown up rock here, and then when you look straight up, you can see a petroglyph. The deers, all right, the animals, the carvings here are very significant. When we see a deer carving or a coyote carving, it's always looking in the sacred spot to where to find these UFOs at, or spirits, according to the Native Americans. So when we look at that deer, he's looking up the hill there, and when you look a little bit further, you can see on how the CCC destroyed that part of the story.
Well, now, I want to go up there and take a closer look at these petroglyphs, but my question to you is, why would the CCC want to destroy the story? What would their motivation be?
Well, I think there's a few explanations on this. One, when Phoenix was pretty much established, they were looking for gold. Now, a lot of people say, well, you know, you won't find a lot of gold nuggets here. True, but what they were failing to look at is gold was brought here by the Mayans. And
for what? Why would the Mayans bring gold here?
Well, to use it for their sacrificing rituals. They would melt the gold down to make gold idols in replicas of what their spirits that they've seen in the sky as a type of idol worship.
One thing that strikes me when we talk about spirits in the sky, I think I'm a lot like most people. This is a mythology. These people were, you know, just high on peyote or something, and they came up with all these strange ideas about the spirit in the sky. But these things that you're talking about actually physically manifest. They don't cast shadows, as you say, but you actually have pictures of some of these spirits in the sky. I've seen some of them. So they weren't just making up stories because they were high on peyote. They were actually seeing these manifestations of things. So is the cover-up that you're talking about the attempt by the CCC to cover over the story so that people wouldn't dig up these idols that they made after these spirits?
I believe so. That's right. That's right. Some of these rock art panels depict what is buried within the mountains here. So in destroying the story, destroying the rock art of it showing what's
it would
buried
discourage
here,
people from trying to dig them up.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So you still think they're buried here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's go to some of those places. I'm not into digging them up. I don't want to get King Tut mad at me.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is very interesting.
If you notice right down in here, right, you can see how the CCC, okay, you can see the dynamite sticks there. They implanted dynamite sticks to blow up the rocks, and here we can see some more dynamite sticks there. Okay, now you'll notice that it's right on some petroglyphs. We have a deer here. Okay, now in my studies, I'm coming to find out on studying the petroglyphs here, the animals, for instance, the deers or the coyotes, are always looking in sacred places to find these spirit beings at, to where some of the doors are, and also some of these sacred objects that are buried here within the mountains. They're forever looking at sacred places. So this deer here, now he's kind of looking up at a diamond spiral, okay? Now these spirals represent doorways for these beings. Now, we find spirals here on South Mountain. 20% of them are water, natural watering holes, but the majority of them here on South Mountains are doorways for these supernatural beings. Here, we have what looks like, what the Indians like to say, a lizard man, okay? And the story on these lizard men is when the Hohokam first arrived here, they didn't know how to live here in the desert. So these creatures came up out of the sand world. They looked just like us. They lost their tails, and they were able to teach the Native Americans how to live. And when they were done teaching them, they went back down into the sand world and promised to return someday. Now, some of the Native Americans here, when you ask them, because you will see that little dot in their belly. You see the dot in their stomach there? Now, some of the Native Americans will say, well, that's our spirit, and he's halfway in the rock and halfway out of the rock. He's coming out of the rock. But in my studies on watching these UFOs, I believe that that dot there is an orb. This is what we're seeing in the sky today. And actually what this orb is doing is he's transforming into a man. He's representing a man. He's actually morphing into a human. So that dot in the belly there is actually a UFO orb, and he's morphing into a man.
While the Hohokam Indians recorded on rock faces their supernatural encounters, self-serving men tried to